This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
Here he is, everybody. Jeff Kolpack joins us on a Monday morning to start our second hour.
I got a couple grievances.
Yeah? What do you got? Go for it.
Let's eliminate the tush push.
Yeah? Why?
It's a bad play. It's a rugby play, Dom. And somebody's going to get hurt. Do you see the Kansas City lineman, Chris Jones?
I did.
Looked like somebody's going to break their neck on that play. Got to get rid of the tush push.
Okay.
That used to be illegal, right?
It did. Fox broke that out during their pregame show, or NFL Network did yesterday, if I remember right.
It's just an ugly play. It's not a football play.
Of all the plays out there that are ugly in football, to me, that's not up there.
It's goon football. Let's get rid of it.
What's your second grievance?
Number 2, I forgot. Doubleheaders. Can we get doubleheaders in Summit League, please?
Hey, you're preaching to the choir on that one.
I was covering the game on Saturday afternoon, the Bison USD women, and just thought it needs some more juice. Doubleheaders. Jory wants it. There's too many dates. There's one doubleheader, UND, correct?
That's it for this season.
So there's 15 Summit League dates between the men and women.
Correct.
That's a lot of dates for people to decide where to attend, when to attend.
Yep.
That's too many.
It's a lot of dates for the, I would say, the stadium staff also get to go up there and work. Yeah. You're preaching to the choir. I don't get it.
Well,
they'll be having an odd number of teams is going to prevent it from happening to start.
Well, you can have some.
Television's going to dictate that, and I think some on just availability. I don't know. The league has been resistant to it. I think for some it reminds them of being a Division II thing. That's what I've been told. So, I mean, and I'll be honest, on a weekday, I brought this up on the show a couple weeks ago. What time are you going to start? You're going to start at 5 o'clock? Because that's hard for people to get there. And then you're going to play the second game at 8 o'clock? That's late. I'm just throwing that out there. For some people,
Saturday, Thursday 5:30, 8. Thursday it's end of the week.
But it will never start at 8. That'll be closer to 8:15, just because games work that way. You need 40 minutes to watch. I'm not trying to throw cold water on it, but that's the comeback. Okay, we start at 6 o'clock, then our second game isn't starting until when? 8:30? That's way too late.
No, 5:30.
But if you start at 6, people are still getting out of work at 5 or 5:30. That's on a weeknight. That's the pushback. And I don't disagree with that. As a father with a young kid, I wouldn't say we can go to one of the games. We're not going to make both of them. That just would be, we'd have to pick, and we're going to go
1.5.
Game. Yeah,
which is 1.5 more than you'd go usually.
And plus, to stay between games, you got to occupy. You know what I mean? You got to have some entertainment part of that too. That's the comeback on that. So I don't disagree with you, but I think it's
too many dates.
It's a tough road to hoe there, and I don't think. Gosh, there's not many Division I leagues that do that, frankly. The mid-majors, the Horizon, Southland, those kind of leagues, they don't do it.
But attendance, I mean, it's a Division II thing, but by the way, Division II attendance was higher than Division I attendance.
No doubt about it. I'm not arguing on that.
Sorry to hijack your show.
No, you're fine.
What are we talking about?
What'd you make it last night? Boat race.
Is
City,
Mahomes hurt? Was he hurt?
He got dinged up.
He looked hurt to me. I just wasn't there.
I think he got hurried for the first time in 3.5 years. We've seen it. You've written about it. What a good defensive line can do to a great offense, and that was in spades last night. What Philadelphia did.
Yeah, it just wow. It just looks so un-Kansas City-like. They didn't even give the refs a chance to help them.
No, but the fact of how the Eagles defensively played, led by one Cooper DeJean. Which you texted me, did that guy get it on? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, the Bison offered
him. The Jackrabbits offered him. He was a standout quarterback in high school. That just, the way they built their roster, and it's, Jalen Hurts was drafted, I'll never forget, doing the show, and Hurts was drafted with Carson Wentz getting a 4-year, $185 million extension that previous summer. And then he's watching, Wentz is on the other sideline watching Jalen Hurts do that. That had to be something else last
Yeah,
night.
well, it's a business,
No
it's a
doubt.
business.
Carson said that too a couple times to me when I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. But it's
Where's he going to end up?
jarring. That's a good question. I think there's belief in his camp that he can be a starting quarterback again. I don't believe there's a lot of NFL belief in that. That's the push and pull on this. There's going to be jobs open. The Jets just got open, but I don't think they're going to go for Carson Wentz. I think he's a backup, Jeff, going forward.
Well.
I don't know if that realization has sunk in yet, but I think last year waited out and didn't sign till November when he went with the Rams. This year, his agent hopped on, hey, Chiefs is open, and I think that was a smart move. I don't know. Gonna wait and see, but I don't think one of the starting 32 jobs will be his next September. I would be surprised on that.
Well, time's a wasting. He's not getting any younger.
He's 32. He
so
just
this
turned
is going to
32.
have to be pretty close to it if he wants a starting job.
And I would say, though, he's about as healthy as he has been, but that's because he hasn't played the last 2 years. And he said that. Like, I'm healthy, but that's because I haven't played. You go back to prior to the ACL injury he had all of his physical abilities.
That one play, he was leaping into the end zone. That changed
just
everything.
really did. I mean, we saw the peak of his physical, and it's not like he didn't get dinged up here. He had an ankle injury.
Well,
and
high
he had
school, too.
In high school, he was hurt, and he broke his hand here. But the physical toll those first 2 years took on him in the NFL, it's just he hasn't been the same. Clearly, the concussion, I think, was another thing as well. Couple other football notes before I want to talk hoops in our second segment. One of our all-time favorites is heading to the NFL. Connor Riley on Friday found out that he is going to be the new Dallas Cowboys offensive line coach. And the backstory with Riley is fantastic, Jeff, because he was a player at Omaha. Doesn't even have football anymore.
Good guy. Good for him. Welcome to the NFL fraternity. Once you get in,
you're not coming back.
It's hard to get out. So I don't know if he's going to. I mean,
that's Jamar Kane. That by the way.
Coordinator at K-State. I don't know. It might be a pay cut for all we know. I don't know, or it's about the same.
I don't know. The Cowboys, man.
Maybe
you're gonna make it okay. You're gonna be all right.
But yeah, it's a great move, great job. Good guy. Just he deserved it. He works hard.
I remember him visiting with us when he got the job. Bull hired him, and he found out. I think like we did. He told the story on the show. I'll have to go back and find it, of getting a phone call. He was at a wrestling mat at Omaha, an Omaha hockey game, he told me, and found out that wrestling and football were going to be eliminated at Omaha.
And I appreciate guys who stay in touch for better, for worse, because when football coaches leave here, as you know, sometimes they don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yep.
And it's either or.
There's really no middle
ground.
Middle ground.
Yeah, they either will stay in touch and say how's it going, or they're gonna Heisman you.
Sayonara on that.
So I've had, I would say 2/3 have been pretty good, and there's a third that just don't want anything to do with me anymore.
Riley,
and you,
Riley is he's developed some dynamite. I mean, obviously the offensive linemen here speak for themselves. You got a couple at Kansas State that are going to get drafted. He was the offensive coordinator for the first time this year for Chris Kleiman, and clearly that caught either Brian Schottenheimer or Jerry Jones, or maybe both eye in the end. I mean, it's not like he's going to the Jags, Kolpack. He's going to the Cowboys.
But they got some work to do.
Yeah,
man.
There's no doubt. Trying to figure out a block for Dak Prescott. The other college football hire I had to bring up, one of your favorites, maybe our favorites, Bob Stitt has got a job again.
The fly sweep is back?
The fly sweep back at his old haunts at the Colorado School of Mines.
As the head guy?
He's the head coach. Of course, the former University of Montana coach who beat the Bison. That is his greatest.
The aura is back.
The roar has been restored, he said.
We're back.
We're in Missoula in the post-game press conference in 2015 after Montana won that game.
Do you think that comment made its way to North University Drive?
I think
in the football office?
1,000% it did.
And when Chris Kleiman came into the famous press conference in the second round win over Montana?
Yep, correct. 2015.
Said playoff games aren't won in August.
They're won in December. Can you give us the flight? You wrote a story on it.
I did.
On the flight.
Oh, where did it come from? Man, you're testing me now.
It was like out of West Virginia. It was Dana Holgerson, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was it's so simple, and you wonder why it took so long. But literally, it's the wide receiver coming in motion, and instead of handing off on the jet sweep, he's in front, and you just pitch it to him.
Yeah.
and so it's a pass, and it's the fly sweep.
I remember we did endless stories about that whole August. I bugged Entz about at least 7 because he was the defensive coordinator. Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop? They didn't run it once. I don't remember, right? They didn't run it once in that game against the Bison.
All that hype for nothing. Was that when that fly was on my head in the postgame?
No, but
it was like, it's a fly sweep.
I think Stitt, and then the following game, remember so Montana beats NDSU. Stitt says, Roar is restored, Montana's back, and the very next week, Cal Poly went to Missoula and beat them.
That's right.
And that was, it never got any better after that August day in 2015 for Bob Stitt in Missoula. So he's been hanging around for a bit. Now he's back.
He's a good guy. I remember him from Northern Colorado days. He was at Northern Colorado, and I went down to Boulder and ran the Boulder 10K, and Jack Mon was down there, and so Jack and him were friends, and so ran into him, and I don't know if he ran the Boulder 10K. I'm sure I beat him.
Yes, you
probably did.
Your running days, but so there's a couple of the coaching moves there. Before we go to break, we're going to talk some hoops. I haven't had a chance to visit with you. Sam O'Jury is back in the Bison Brotherhood. Officially, he's now been named as the running backs coach at North Dakota State after spending the last 4 with Brock Spack at Illinois State. I put a video out last week, I think, for a newer generation of Bison fans. They never saw Sam play. Let's first talk about the player. He was a dynamite player.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd get in the tackles and he'd get those 2-3 yards, kind of like Marty Brown a little bit, I think, is how I describe his style. That was the easiest coaching peg to hire in a long time because we're talking, and you asked the question when the Bison played at Illinois State that week to Tim Paulsek, and he was talking about how he just really enjoyed him and he's a good coach, and so it was an easy, natural hire.
I remember when we were in Normal, Jeff, in September, and the two of them, you saw the photo I took of them. They visited for at least 15 minutes prior to the game.
Right.
I mean, the highlight reel could go on for 5 minutes, and he had his incidents. You'll remember he was suspended the entire 2010 season. He had some stuff that he had to figure out. Craig Bull and Polisek, I know, talked to me about it when he was in studio on Wednesday about Sam, the young man, but he's turned into, I think, a really good recruiter. And they're going to
That's the word.
They're going to hit Chicago. That's a spot you'll remember. That's where Sam is from, the suburbs of Chicago. They're going to hit that pretty well. I mean, you go through the list, Jeff, of guys they've got from Joe Mays to him.
So that highlight, did you see Craig Bull running down the sideline? That's the first time it's the last time he ran, I bet.
But that's an area of the Bison. I don't know if they've hit particularly hard over the last couple of years, but they're going to do it again now with O'Jury. And as we sit here now on February 10th, the coaching staff for the Bison will be wrapped up. Not to say that there shouldn't anything happen because nothing's done yet, but that would be like they're ready to lock and load for 2025 with 3 former players now on staff.
Teammates.
Yeah.
On 2011, 12, and 13. Right. Carlton. Yep.
With Gio and O'Jury. It's a pretty good stretch there. And we'll visit with Sam later today. You can look for stuff at Inforum and on WDAY coming up later today. We'll break. We come back. We'll shift gears and talk some hoops. I mentioned just 3 weeks left before the Summit League basketball tournament. A lot to be decided on each side. We'll discuss that. Much more with Jeff. We come back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody.
Does it look cold or what? Man.
Yeah, it will be all week. Email comes in. Guys, my guess the only way Wentz becomes an NFL starter is if he's a backup or the starter gets hurt and he steps in and plays very well. It doesn't seem like anyone will make him a starter any other way. Kind of, I think that's the destiny for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I haven't studied how many teams are in desperate need of a quarterback. Handful?
I'd say 5 or 6. It'll change over, but
then those teams are probably not very good.
Right. And a couple of them are at the top of the draft that will. But now this is not a great quarterback draft.
Nope.
It just isn't. We saw one in Shedeur Sanders. The other is probably Cam Ward from Incarnate Word via Washington State via Miami. Those are the two guys.
Is he 28, 29?
He's up there. He's not that old, but that's kind of where we're at here on that. Let's talk some hoops. We were at the game on Saturday. First, a word on Grace Larkins. Summit League record 47 7 points for South Dakota. That was a heck of a performance.
It was interesting to watch South Dakota's offense because look at they all cleared out
around the basket.
They just
You're
cleared out and
exactly
said,
right.
There
is. There's nobody around the hoop.
And it's I've never seen a team when somebody throws up a shot like she does. All
clears out.
The other four are already on their way back playing defense.
Yep.
They had one offensive rebound, and that was by accident by her, Grace Larkins.
Yeah.
But it just give her the. I mean, it can't be a very fun team to play on.
No, I don't think they have the horses right now. And Amy and I were talking about this, Amy and Riley and I during the broadcast, that 3 years ago, here's a team that went to the Sweet 16, loaded. And it does not take long for that to go the other way.
But Jory was content to let her do her thing in twos.
Worked out.
Yep.
Worked out.
He said his goal was their goal was to give up 63 points, and they gave up 65.
Yeah.
So it worked.
Avery Coonan had her fourth separate 20-point game in Summit League play, had 25 points, 16 of them in the second half. Her stats are not going to be even in the top 10 of the Summit League. She's a first-team Summit League player, in my opinion, Jeff.
Yes.
That's how good she's been.
And Marissa Frost is really coming on, too.
Yep.
And, playing like she's not a true freshman anymore.
I mean, she has a good chance to be the 6th woman of the year. I really believe that. There's some others that are going to have some big stats, but Frost should get consideration for the 6th woman
and
of the year.
it's Claire Stern coming on.
Yeah. 8 points, 7 boards. The other freshman on the Bison basketball
Well, they need
roster.
somebody to hit the three.
Well, they finally started doing that.
Yes. I mean, South Dakota was just like,
they were
in the
people to
lane and
shoot.
say,
yes.
It's almost like they were too wide open.
Yep.
It gets in your head. Oh, you're leaving me way wide open? I must not be a very good shooter.
What were they, 4 of 18 in the first half? 4
Yes.
of 19? I mean, it was not good.
It plays with your head when you're that open.
I think it did with Abby Schulte a couple times. She was that wide open, and she was way off on a couple of her shots because there wasn't a hand or anything near her.
I mean, if I were playing you one-on-one, I'd give you that shot all day.
Hey, I was a pretty good three-point shooter. I told Dave Richmond that the other day.
Really?
My heyday. I was
Really?
good. I couldn't drive, but I could shoot.
You have zero
Stop,
athletic
pump.
ability.
Got it.
No.
I got a little bit.
No, you don't.
So the big game is Wednesday. Now, we've talked about it. You and I have done this for 10 years now. Some of these games have not been, it was like 80-41, 78-39. The Bison were tied with the Jacks with 3 minutes to go a couple weeks in Brookings. If there's any time you're going to get them, maybe it's now.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes, I'm with you there.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Because we've been down this road before. It's been 10 years, 23 consecutive losses that they've had to the Jackrabbits.
How AJ is able to hang on to his players in this collective era is just amazing.
Yeah, there's no transfers on this team.
If Al Evans got whatever, 50, 60, 70,000 from KU, what's Brooklyn Meyer out there?
More than that.
Least that, more than that.
Paige Meyer's probably getting
Same
just
thing.
about that. There's the culture of winning there.
And why is he still there?
You asked me that a couple weeks ago. To me, AJ's had a chance to go. I think the chance to always compete for a championship, there's something to that.
Is it like Darren Mueller at NDSU softball?
I think so.
In a lot of jobs, they are not as good as maybe you advertise.
Yeah.
Like I think he had a chance to go to Minnesota.
Darren.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And turned it down because the job here is better.
Yep. I think that there's a lot to that. I just until the Bison are actually able to do it, you can't take them serious yet.
Right.
They're good, but granted, nobody's done it. The Jacks haven't lost a regular season
58.
Summer League game in 3 years.
58 in a row.
Yeah. So then when you look at it as a league, you're like, okay, well, what else are you
Kick
doing
him out.
here?
Kick him out.
They're not doing the St.
Thomas. Do the
route
St.
of
Thomas.
that. But we'll see. I'd be really interested to see how this plays out on Wednesday. See what the Bison have in store.
Well, hopefully it's a good game.
Yep.
Hopefully it's not 25-10 after the first quarter.
I don't think so. I think this SDSU team is good. They're not unbeatable. Somebody's going to get them. I really believe that. I don't know if it's going to happen Wednesday.
I will take that bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to happen
I think
Wednesday.
I still owe you dinner anyway, don't I? I probably owe you 2 dinners.
On the men's side, the Bison got a split. They won at Kansas City on Thursday, lost to first place Omaha. That's their 5th league loss. I mentioned it earlier. I don't see this team likely getting above probably 4th, Jeff. Maybe 3rd, but that means they got to go to South Dakota State and win. The Bison now are 0-5 against the teams ahead of them this season.
Yeah, things have gone the other way. There was a nice stretch there where they were playing well. They were hitting the 3. They were nationally ranked, one of the top 3-point teams in the country, and things have just sort of disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, they go with their shot. You know, they shot it well on Thursday night, so they won the game against Kansas City. I didn't think they shot too bad, but defending-wise, that was – and Omaha was. Tony Osborne hit threes. I mean, Omaha went crazy from three-point range, just like St. Thomas did last Sunday, and that's an issue with this team. Can I see them winning a game in Sioux Falls? Yeah.
Well, it's all about they got to hit the three.
Right.
They got to hit the three. And if you don't hit the three, then see you later.
So right now they would match up with South Dakota in the first round, who they scored 100 points on because they hit their threes earlier. That's probably a good matchup. They play Omaha again down there in Sioux Falls. I don't know. Dave's proven he can win down there though, so that you have to take into account.
Could they win it? Yes. Could they win the tournament? Yes. Could they be 0-1?
Could they lose one and done? Absolutely too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of where this group is at right now. And you know, they went the route of adding through the portal. I agreed with it. I still do. I think that was the proper route to go on. But I think it's the guys that returned. Javis Miller has had, I think, a nice incline, then barely played. Feddersen has been fits and starts this year. That
up and down, didn't take a shot against St. Thomas.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
And then he didn't miss a shot against Kansas City. And then on Saturday, it was back to kind of where he's been all season long. It's just too much of the peaks and valleys on that out of him. Email before we go. Dom, can Jeff get a new book with stories about Bucky Mon, Scotty Miller, Amy Rulli, and now Randy Hedberg? Would be awesome. You up for doing another one? You just finished one.
I don't know.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it is.
The Bucky one, I don't know if you could print it. Right? The story.
Oh, you could print anything. I mean, it's not going to be in elementary schools, but
That's true.
And if I did it, I would certainly tell it like it is.
You have to.
You have to.
Yep. You have to with him.
Like that button on my dad's banquet, which I cannot repeat. Oh, my goodness.
Boy, that's A to Z between Bucky Mon and Scotty Miller. That's the ends of the spectrum. Right? That's the ends of the spectrum.
Maybe that's the title.
Right?
Bison.
There you go.
Bison personalities, A to Z.
A to Z on that one. There you go. Awesome stuff as always. Don't forget, by the way, the men's game this week, talk about later start time because of television, is 8 o'clock Thursday night against Oral Roberts. So just prepare accordingly. You're going to be up later on Thursday night, okay?
Well, I will bring coffee to the arena and try to stay awake.
Yeah, the men's game with Ori was at 8 p.m.
I know I'm old, but I'm not
Thursday
that old, Dom.
Against Oral Roberts. Great to see you, bud. Thanks for coming by. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday at 10. We break, we come back. We're heading to Britain, South Dakota, the home of the Britain Bomber, one Dallas Goddard, how they're celebrating a partially homegrown son because Havana will celebrate as well. We're doing that. We come back after this.